Bourne Jr., The End of Plenty, The Race to Feed a Crowded World. The End of Plenty, The Race to Feed a Crowded World by JoelKBourne Jr. delves into the world of agronomy and its crucial role in feeding the ever-growing global population. Agronomy, which encompasses soil and plant science, has uncovered many invaluable advances that have revolutionized how we produce crops. From improved seeds and fertilization to modern irrigation systems, the so-called Green Revolution has led to unprecedented increases in crop yields. However, these advancements have also led to issues like overuse of pesticides, loss of biodiversity, and depletion of water resources. Tackling the dark underbelly of the Green Revolution, this book summary provides an insightful look into the environmental consequences of our modern agricultural practices, and examines the urgent need for finding a sustainable solution for global food production.
The impact of agronomy on food production and environmental sustainability. Agronomy merges soil and plant sciences to improve row crop production, leading to the Green Revolution that tripled grain yields and reduced poverty worldwide. However, the use of modern agronomic practices and increasing demand for agricultural crops have led to environmental disasters, water scarcity, greenhouse gas emissions, and food shortages. Agronomy, the integration of soil and plant sciences, has revolutionized row crop production, enabling the world to feed its growing population. The Green Revolution that began in the 1960s saw significant improvements in seed quality, fertilization, pesticide use, and irrigation, tripling grain yields and reducing global poverty. Nevertheless, the rapid expansion of industrial farming and the increasing demand for food have had severe consequences for the environment and human well-being. Large-scale farming, displacing small-scale family farming in underdeveloped nations, has led to pesticide-related environmental disasters, such as those described in Rachel Carson's Silent Spring. These practices have also exhausted underground fresh-water aquifers, causing water scarcity, one of the most significant environmental challenges of our time. Additionally, farming practices contribute significantly to greenhouse gas emissions that cause climate change, leading to barren agricultural lands by the year 2100. Moreover, the Green Revolution's increased demand for agricultural crops has led to larger consumption of meat and dairy, which require more grains for production than directly consuming grains. The use of corn for ethanol to reduce fossil fuel emissions has also significantly impacted the global food chain, causing more food shortages worldwide. It is concerning that the world already produces enough calories to feed everyone a mostly vegetarian diet, yet more than 8 million people are malnourished. These trends predict an imminent threat to food security, arable land, and water for irrigation. In conclusion, while agronomy has enabled us to harness the soil's potential for crop production, a responsible approach that balances economic and environmental impacts is essential to ensure food security for future generations. The Malthusian Theory. The Malthusian Theory revolves around the relationship between population growth and food supply. Thomas Robert Malthus established the idea that population increases geometrically while food production increases arithmetically. He argued that population growth would outpace food production, leading to a catastrophic collapse. Malthus also identified positive checks such as wars, diseases, and famine, which increase mortality rate, and preventative checks like increasing the food prices or delaying marriages that lower the birth rate. He believed that cycles of population growth and fall due to varying food supply were a constant in history. The unintentional consequence of Punjab's Green Revolution. In 1968, the Indian government initiated the Green Revolution in the state of Punjab, which resulted in the shift from diverse crops to limited ones, causing environmental and health consequences. Punjab became self-sufficient in food production, but the land and water table suffered due to non-stop irrigation and reckless use of fertilizers and pesticides. The overuse of groundwater led to barren hectares of land and tumbling net returns on crops, trapping farmers in debt. The high-yield wheat and rice crops also led to dangerously high levels of pesticides in food and water, causing an epidemic of cancer. The well-intentioned green revolution might have been prosperous in the short run, but its disastrous, long-term consequences call for farmers to go back to cultivating a diverse range of crops. The Biofuels Myth. In 2007, biofuels were touted as the solution to reduce oil dependence, limit greenhouse gases, and boost rural economies in the United States. However, the reality does not live up to the hype. Corn ethanol burns with only 66% of gasoline's energy and decreases fuel efficiency. The production process is inefficient and requires significant fossil fuel energy. The United States does not even grow enough corn to make a dent in its transportation fuel consumption. Soybean biodiesel performs better, but it can only supply a small fraction of U.S. gasoline and diesel fuel demand. Additionally, using crops like corn and soybeans as fuel can leave livestock and people starving. Despite these shortcomings, the ethanol lobby claims that ethanol use reduces greenhouse gas emissions by 59%, but the actual figure is between 7% and 32%. In the end, biofuels are not the environmental panacea that they were once thought to be. Instead, the focus should be on more sustainable and efficient alternative energy sources. The global impact of agribusiness. Global agribusiness is a complex system with unexpected consequences. China's demand for pork has led to deforestation in Brazil for soybean production aided by corporations like Cargill. The rate of Amazonian deforestation correlates with rising soybean prices. The history and politics of genetic modification in agriculture. Almost every edible plant that humans consume has undergone genetic modification. Farmers through history have selectively saved the seeds that produced the strongest and most profitable crops while rejecting weaker strains of genetic material. Presently, only a few crops out of 50,000 varieties constitute the majority of the world's food supply. The 1970s held promises for genetically modified organism, GMO, crops being able to eliminate malnutrition and reduce the use of nitrogen fertilizers. However, corporate greed and monopolistic market tactics from companies such as DuPont, Syngenta, Monsanto, and Bayer hindered the process. Collectively, these firms controlled 56% of all commercial seeds in 2008, giving them the power to dictate agriculture policies in developed and underdeveloped countries. Starvation, corruption, and the hope for African agriculture. Hunger kills more people than AIDS, malaria, and tuberculosis combined, and Africa is particularly affected. However, the Green Revolution never took off in the continent due to the lack of transportation infrastructure and kleptocracy. Investment in African agriculture has been galvanized, with foreign aid and corporate agribusiness promising solutions. While the Malawi miracle provided hope, it was revealed to be a fraud. Foreign investors, mostly from China and Brazil, are now leasing vast tracts of fertile land in Africa, promising to build infrastructure and train farmers. Doubling world's food production. John Foley proposes steps to double the world's food production by 2050. The plan includes stopping farming expansion in tropical rainforests, increasing crop yield in developing regions and shifting the use of fertilizers, chemicals, and irrigation water to areas that need it most. The author also suggests curtailing meat consumption, halting biofuels usage and reducing food waste. Signs of hope. The world is witnessing a new green revolution that brings hope for the future. The cost of electric cars and renewable energy is decreasing, while organic farming is gaining popularity, and GMO crops are proving to be safe and environmentally friendly. The most effective way to address world hunger is through population control, as exemplified by China's one-child policy's significant impact. African nations still face challenges with unwanted pregnancies and deaths during childbirth, but these issues can be mitigated through family planning. These signs of progress suggest a brighter and more sustainable future for all.
The book's summary of The End of Plenty portrays the stark reality of our modern agricultural practices and their disastrous consequences on the environment. reckless use of pesticides, the shift towards monoculture, and the depletion of water resources all contribute to the unsustainability of the green revolution. Similarly, factors like population growth, increased meat consumption, and the impact of biofuels on food supply further exacerbate the challenges our world faces in feeding its ever-increasing population. To address these issues, adopting sustainable solutions, developing next-generation agronomic practices, improving distribution systems, and reducing waste are identified as key approaches. Furthermore, the exploration of potential GMO crops and putting an emphasis on family planning may hold the key to achieving a sustainable, food-secure future for our planet.